What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Pistons Daily, where you can find daily content covering all things Detroit Pistons all year long. I'm your host. My name is Kyle Garrison. I'm over on Twitter at Kyle Garrison2, where I talk all things Detroit sports. So head over there, give me comments, questions, concerns, episode ideas. I'd love to hear from all you guys. Also, shout out to everyone who tunes in every single day. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers, so if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way to help support the channel. And with that being said, let's jump into episode 73 of Pistons Daily. And just a heads up for you guys, I started a new job here a couple of weeks ago, and that's why I haven't been able to get out episodes as consistently as I want to over the past couple of weeks. But as we get into the season, I plan on getting out as much content as my schedule allows. And again, I'm going to start getting out episodes 3 days a week. I'm going to try to do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and if I can get more out, then I will. So just stay tuned for that, and I'll update it on my Twitter as well. And we'll just get out as much content as we can for you guys. Obviously, the regular season starts a week from the day I'm recording this on Wednesday, October 15th. So the 22nd, we have regular season Pistons basketball. I couldn't be more excited, and I know that is probably the case for most of you guys. But for now, let's just take a glimpse at kind of the improvement that we've been seeing throughout preseason, kind of what's been going on, who stood out, who has things to work on, and we'll dive into that. But first thing, we have to talk about Cade Cunningham in the preseason, and this is a given. We knew that he was going to come out firing. We knew that he was going to come out and looking like a superstar because he is a superstar in this league right now. And obviously, the preseason, we'll take it with a grain of salt. But again, even if you're playing in the Drew League or you're playing in a scrimmage, it doesn't really matter. If you're putting up these types of numbers against NBA caliber players, it's impressive nonetheless. And in 38 preseason minutes, Cade scored 46 points. He was a combined 16 of 25 from the field over the 2 games that he played, 64% from the field. He had 10 assists, 9 rebounds, 4 steals, just 4 turnovers. And again, like I mentioned, it's preseason, but regardless, this is NBA level competition, and he is dominating. He's an absolute dominant force out there. In both games he played, he looked like the best player on the floor at all times, and really the sky is the limit for this guy. We know that he has the ability to really take over games and be a leader of his team, but I think that he is going to put himself in the conversation for a top 5, top 7 player in the NBA this year, and he's going to kind of maybe hop over guys like a Luka Doncic or Victor Wembanyama or some of these players that are still very, very good, but Cade Cunningham, the trajectory that he's on, could have him pass those types of guys. Again, they're very, very talented players, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, Cade's easily better than them, because he's not. But again, he has the intangibles. He's got the skill set. He's got this team. It's his team. He's going to be the difference maker night in and night out, and we're going to see him just jump into superstardom pretty quickly into the regular season. And I know people around the league are already talking about him. It's not like he's just out of nowhere going to be a top 10 player in the NBA. People already are aware of what he can do, but he's just going to reiterate the fact that he's here to stay. He's a young player. He's got so much room for improvement, and from year in and year out, he's only going to get better. And we're going to see that once again on display here in less than a week. So very, very excited just for what he can bring to the table. But let's just talk about some of the newcomers, what they've shown us in preseason, what's some things that some guys need to work on, specifically like Caris LeVert, who didn't have a great showing in his first outing, first and only preseason outing so far. But first things first, let's talk about Duncan Robinson. And I think that he looks as advertised, very solid floor spacer, underrated handle and passing ability that we've kind of seen on display so far in the preseason. His defense definitely has its holes. He's very slow with his first step. It's hard for him to keep up with players, and that's going to be a problem. That's definitely going to be something that we evaluate throughout the year, but he's shown the ability to be active with his hands. He's getting steals, and he's at least doing something on defense where he's not a complete liability. And I'm sure there's going to be moments where he's getting blown by quicker offensive players, and we're going to have our growing pains with him there. But again, we need that movement shooting. We need that high volume floor spacing shooter that we lost in Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. And I think that Duncan Robinson, while he might not be a 225 3-point makes on the year, he can still come in, give you 150, 175, maybe even push into the 200 range. But again, it's just going to be a matter of if he can stay on the floor, if his defense is good enough where he can play consistent minutes. And in the preseason, I do think that we saw at least a little bit to hang our hats on and a little bit of confidence that he can play defense at the NBA level. I sure would hope so, considering he's been getting 30 minutes a night throughout his career in Miami. So I do think that there's still some stuff to work on, but in the JB Bickerstaff system, there's going to be some help defense that allows him to have some defensive lapses, and it's not going to hurt the team too much. But again, we'll just have to see kind of how that plays out heading into the regular season. But what I have seen from him, again, is just floor spacing and elite floor spacing at that. And we desperately need that on this team. So he's going to be a valuable piece, whether we like it or not. So might as well start evaluating him as truthfully as we can, and hopefully he starts to kind of come into his own and really mesh with this young core. Again, like I mentioned, Caris LeVert has really struggled. He did really struggle in the one game that he played against the Grizzlies, and it's going to take some time for him to get acclimated with his new team. And again, that's the same with Duncan Robinson. I'm not expecting them to come in night one and just be difference makers off the bench. But I do expect them to be solid role players going forward. And they're going to need to be, because the Pistons need depth. They need veteran depth. They need some veteran presences and leadership in the locker room outside of Tobias Harris. I think Duncan and Caris can both be that. But again, Caris LeVert, it seems like the game's going a little bit too fast for him. He's got to find ways to be impactful without, being somebody that is the third option on the floor. Sometimes he's going to be the fourth or fifth option when it comes to scoring when he's out there, and he has to be able to make an impact defensively. He's got to be able to make an impact as a passer, as a facilitator, as a ball handler, and somebody you just can rely on to go out there, not make mistakes, not turn the ball over, not pick up cheap fouls, and just be a guy that you rely on night in and night out to give you solid minutes off the bench. But we didn't see that in game one. Again, it's going to take some time. I'm not expecting him to come out and just be an impact player right away. But, as the season goes on and as we get into week one and week two, I'd like to see him kind of grow into that 6th, 7th, 8th man role, run the second unit with Cade and Jaden Ivey off the floor. And I do think that he can do that. But again, he turned the ball over too much against the Grizzlies. I think he shot, 1 of 8 from the field. Yeah, it wasn't great. 0 of 4 from 3. Did have 2 turnovers, 2 fouls, -6. Was one of the few players on the team that had a negative plus-minus. So we're going to have to see some improvement there. And I expect we will as a veteran player. He knows what he has to work on. He's played under JB Bickerstaff before. He knows what JB expects from him. And we'll kind of see that get ironed out as the season goes on. And then Chaz Lanier, another newcomer. I think he's been solid in his minutes that he's played. Again, another movement shooter that the Pistons really do need. And consistency is key for him. So I think there's a possibility that if he continues to show that he can shoot the ball at an efficient clip at the NBA level, we could potentially see him get minutes this year in the rotation. Again, I think that it'll have to come with some injuries, or maybe we don't see Marcus Sasser as somebody who kind of steps into the lineup. So Chaz could be a potential 10th man in the rotation. You pick and choose the spots you want to put him in. He might not play one night, play the next. Who knows? Again, he is a 23-year-old rookie, so there's going to be an area where he has to play now, or he's never going to play on this team. So I think that JB likes him, and I think that he's somebody that can just be consistent shooter. So maybe we'll see him, maybe we won't. Again, we'll continue to evaluate that as the season goes along. But then the rest of the crew, the rest of the supporting cast, the squad, whatever you want to call it, I think there was some good moments. Again, there was some bad moments. I mean, that's what you need from preseason. You need to see kind of those growing pains and just some of that rust get shaken off in the preseason. This is the time to do it. So Jaden Ivey had some struggles in the one game that he played, but he did come back from injury. This is his first, real game, live action in almost 10 months now. So it wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. So again, a guy that is going to kind of show what he can do when the regular season gets going. Preseason, we take it with a grain of salt. We're not going to look too much into it, but in his first game, he had 14 minutes, 2 of 5 from the field. He did go 1 of 1 from 3, which is great to see. Had 3 turnovers, which we'd like to see cleaned up, but efficiency is going to be huge for him this year. And again, turnovers with both Cade and Jaden Ivey are a big just predicator on how this backcourt is going to look going forward. So if he can kind of clean those up, continue to be a solid scorer, and that efficiency comes back to where it was last year, he's going to be really, really solid for this team, and somebody we talk about a lot on this channel. And then we only saw 13 minutes of Jaden Ivey action, and that was in the Cleveland game where the Pistons lost 118 to 100. And he was very good. He was 3 of 6 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, just 1 turnover, +7, ±, 8 points, like I had mentioned. And there was a really nice turnaround shot that he made over Jared Allen in the game against the Cavaliers. And that got me very, very excited because that's an aspect of this offense the Pistons desperately need. They need somebody who has post presence but can also score from the mid-range. I know we have Tobias Harris, but again, he's 32 years old. When you're looking ahead into the future, if Tobias Harris wasn't on this team, they really don't have a ton of forwards that can space the floor. And I don't think that Jalen Duren is going to necessarily space the floor this year as somebody who's beyond the free throw line extended and scoring from three-point range and, taking guys off the dribble and pulling up over the top. But if he can add that spin move into kind of a fadeaway jumper that we've seen Asar Thompson trying to develop, I think that Jalen Duren can be very, very valuable. He can add some money to the extension that he is most likely going to get from the Pistons. And the defensive side of the ball is where we really need to see that growth because every year we've seen he's just adding new things to his game. He became a much better rebounder last year. This year, hopefully, he becomes more of a mid-range threat, somebody that can be a very just consistent piece from the mid-range and inside further than that, obviously, as a rim runner and a finisher at the rim, offensive rebounding and whatnot. But if that part of his offensive game does come around, it's going to be really, really scary. And the Pistons are going to be a very hard team to match up against if he can do that. Asar Thompson, he hasn't done anything earth-shattering yet. Hopefully he's saving that for the regular season, but he's doing what he's asked. His defense is only getting better. He looks stronger too, which is going to be crucial going forward for his ability to potentially play that power forward position at times, just with that lack of depth outside of Tobias Harris there. So I like to see that he did add some muscle, and it's not just wasted muscle. He's actually going to be able to utilize that, especially on the defensive end, and being able to be stronger with the ball, getting downhill, attacking downhill is where he really predicates himself offensively. So that's going to help out as well. So like what I've seen from Asar, it hasn't been, earth-shattering like I mentioned. It's been good enough. So hopefully we'll kind of see him pick up his offensive game more in the regular season and obviously continue to do what he does defensively. And then Dennis Jenkins, I think, has looked very, very solid. He's not going to be somebody that I expect to play much for this team unless there's injuries. So I just do think that is very reassuring that you have a guy like Dennis Jenkins in your G League system who you can call upon if there are injuries or, you're not seeing what you want to see from Jaden Ivey and Karis LeVert as secondary ball handlers. Maybe you give Dennis Jenkins a try down the line. Again, I don't know if he's going to be an NBA player ever in his career, but he showed flashes, especially in the Cleveland game. He had 35 minutes, scored 19 points, did have 5 turnovers. He was the primary ball handler, 6 assists, 2 rebounds, a steal, and good efficiency, 3 of 4 from 3, which is good because, this team will most definitely be looking for three-point shooting. I think that we saw it in the preseason. They're going to be fine, and it's going to be good enough, but they're definitely going to want to find some guys who consistently can knock down shots from the outside. And, you're not just relying on Duncan Robinson and Jaden Ivey being your only 2 spot-up shooters. So good to see that Dennis Jenkins is kind of developing into a very solid player and somebody that could potentially play at the NBA level. So very nice to see. And then, Bobby Clinton, Tolu Smith, both have looked solid at times, have had their struggles at times, and that's what's expected from 2 guys that are G League players. And I don't see either of them playing any minutes for the Pistons this year, barring any catastrophic injuries. But again, very nice to have 2 players in your G League system that, if called upon, they can come in and fill a spot at the least, or at the minimum. They can come in and just be a body. So I like what I've seen from Tolu, especially in the paint. He's been dominant against, more bench players from other teams and guys that are probably going to be in the G League as well. So it'll be fun to kind of see what he does for the Motor City Cruise this year. And same with Bobby Klintman as well. I think that he's honestly looked better in the preseason than he did in the Summer League, which is always funny. So hopefully he's done some work this offseason. I think he's put on at least a little bit of muscle, and his development will continue to keep an eye on throughout the year. And then I don't really have anything else. Marcus Sasser has only played, I think, like 17 total minutes in the preseason, so I haven't seen much from him. Isaiah Stewart, another guy we haven't seen a ton from, but he's elite defensively, no surprise, and hopefully he can continue to space the floor like he did early on in his career. We didn't see it much last year. We saw it in game 1 of the preseason. He did take 2 3-pointers, made one of them, so that could be something to keep an eye on, and obviously we'll continue to evaluate that as the season goes on. But before we wrap up the show, I just wanted to talk about what's next for this team. So they have one more preseason game at home versus the Wizards. It's their first and only home preseason game, which is kind of weird, but whatever. It's preseason. Don't really care too much. But let's just stay healthy. Let's see some more heavy Dennis Jenkins minutes, some heavy Tolu Smith, Bobby Klintman. Get some of those guys some more run. Maybe we'll see Asar Thompson, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, Tobias Harris for 10 minutes maybe in that last game. I don't think we'll see Cade. I don't think we'll see even Jaden Ivey. So again, hopefully we'll get in some good run from the reserves. Hopefully we see Karis LeVert. Duncan Robinson, I'm sure we will see as well, and hopefully he can knock down some shots. So just kind of keep an eye on that. Maybe Isaiah Stewart, maybe Marcus Sasser, some of the reserve unit will get some more significant run and potentially can put up some numbers against a really bad Washington Wizards team. So, but the first regular season game, October 22nd on Wednesday, a week from the day I'm recording this. So season opener is right around the corner. I know it's been a long time coming. It's been a long off season as well. We just want to see the guys get out there and play meaningful basketball. And again, like I mentioned earlier on in the show, I cannot wait, as I'm sure is the case for most of you guys. But again, I'm going to try and get as much content as my schedule will allow, and I'll continue to keep you guys updated on the team and just my insight on the trajectory of the season, game by game. And we're going to get out a decent amount of content here as the regular season gets underway. So excited for that. But that's all I've got for you guys today. As always, like, subscribe, comment, turn on post notifications, and follow me on Twitter at Kyle Garrison2. Also head over to Spotify, leave a 5-star review if you can. And once again, thank you all so much for tuning in every single day. With that being said, that is going to do it here for episode 73 of Pistons Daily, and I will catch you all next time.